In this video, we are going to be focusing on the abdominal quadrant and organs found in each of these quadrants. For us to have a better understanding of what we are going to do today, we are simply going to go back and take a very quick revision on the knowledge which we have in natural sciences, that is in physics or mathematics. Notice that, more especially in mathematics, we have what we call the quadrant. And if you could remember clearly, we have 4 quadrants, which is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and the last one, which is the fourth quadrant. On our x and y plane, the down part, this is what we call the horizontal, and this one is what we call the vertical. Notice that if this is our positive x-axis, this is going to be our negative x. And if this is our positive y, the opposite to it is going to be our negative y. Notice that if this is vertical, in anatomy, we call it the median line. What about the other one? This is transumbilical, which is the horizontal. It's called the transumbilical. So in this case, when it comes to anatomy, we are going to apply the same knowledge into anatomy. How are you going to do that? When we talk about the abdominal quadrant, notice that the abdomen is anatomically divided into 4 quadrants by 2 imaginary lines. And these are the imaginary line, which is the vertical and the horizontal. So here we have our vertical on the same, navel, we are going to put our horizontal line. So the next thing I need you to understand at this point is that the quadrants are relative to the body, not to the viewer. Because I and you are the viewer, because you are viewing the screen right now. And if you have to define this quadrant, where your right is supposed to be left and where is left is supposed to be right, I'm going to explain that. The right and left side refers to those of the client. You are not going to be using yours. You are going to be using for your client. Let's assume that this is our client. And you need to understand that the anatomical landmarks of the abdominal cavity can also aid in identifying the correct quadrant, such as the location of the umbilicus and the midline. So, and another thing I need you to understand is that there is what you call the RUQ, and we have the LUQ, and we have the RLQ and LLQ. Don't be confused, they're very simple. So notice that if you are facing this to be the right, you can't define this quadrant, the first quadrant, because this is first quadrant, right? This is our second quadrant, and this is our third quadrant, and this is our fourth quadrant. But in this case, this is supposed to be LUQ. LUQ. The LUQ simply stands for lower. Remember, this is upper, right? And this is going to be lower. And this point is going to be upper, and this point is going to be lower. It's going to be left upper quadrant. And here, we're done with this. We're going to have what? Right upper quadrant. And here we're going to have right lower quadrant and left lower quadrant. We're done with everything here. Because if you noticed here, we have upper and we have lower. Here we have upper and we have lower. And if this is the right, here is going to be the left. If this is the right, here is going to be the left, and vice versa. If this is upper, here is going to be lower. If this is upper, here is going to be lower. And remember, everything, we define the angles by calling them the quadrant. So, I hope you have understood what we just did here. The next thing which we are going to do is to look at the organs in each of these quadrants. Starting with the first one, by my right hand side, not the client right hand side, which is LUQ, left upper quadrant. In this case, notice that we can find the stomach, the spleen, the left lobe of the liver, body of the pancreas, left kidney and adrenal gland, part of the transverse and descending colon. What about in the case of right upper quadrant? We can find the liver, gallbladder, duodenum, head of the pancreas, right kidney and adrenal gland. Then the last one is hepatic plexus of the colon. So the next one which we have is the right lower quadrant. We can find the appendix, right ovary and tube, right ureter. So the last one, which is LLQ, left lower quadrant. In this case, we can have things like part of the descending colon, sigmoid colon, left ovary tube, and the last one, which is the left ureter. So this is it for this problem. I hope you find it helpful. Please, if you do, feel free to do me a favor by clicking on the subscribe button and like. Thank you for watching. See you next time.